into it. Did you know an NBA big man shipped pro sports by coming out, then checked into a real game like it was no big deal? That's not just history, that's a cultural reset.
Hey everyone, it's Emma. I'm feeling very inspired today, and also a little fired up, because visibility in sports is a total vibe and the stakes are real.
So let's talk Jason Collins. He played 13 seasons in the NBA, New Jersey and Brooklyn Nets, Boston, Atlanta, Washington. Not flashy scoring, but screens like a brick wall and defense that coaches drool over. In 2013, he became the first active male athlete from the Big Four U.S. South Pro Leagues to publicly come out as gay. Then, in 2014, he actually played again, which, moved the headline from talk to action. Let me set the scene. I was at Staples Center in LA in 2014, Nets versus Lakers. Jason Collins had literally just signed a 10-day with Brooklyn. Quick explainer, a 10-day is a short NBA contract teams use to plug a gap or try a fit. He checked in wearing number 46 that night, planning to switch to 98 after. And the building went up. It wasn't a coronation, it was a breath out. Like, finally, we can stop whispering and just hoop. I remember looking around and seeing people stand, clap, even some hugs. Was there side-eye? Sure, it's LA. Someone's always got thoughts. But the vibe? Overwhelming support. You could feel the risk he took, because when athletes step outside the script, the backlash can be ugly. But that night, the receipts were human. Teammates dapped him up. Opponents played him straight up. Fans cheered. And I was like, okay, courage is contagious. I walked out thinking representation isn't an abstract, it's a person checking in at the scores table. All right, let's jump to the basics. Jason was born in LA. He and his twin, Jaron Collins, balled out at Harvard, Westlake, that powerhouse high school in Studio City. They won 2 state titles, and Jason set the California career rebounding record. You heard me. Rebounding is an art, not a dunk contest, and he mastered it early. Then he went to Stanford. He and Jaron held down the paint in college. Jason overcame a freshman knee injury, came back strong, and by 2001 he was all Pac-10 and left as the school's field goal percentage king, efficiency queen. Yes. Draft time, 2001, he went 18th overall, technically to the Houston Rockets, but he started his career with the Nets. Back-to-back finals runs in 2002 and 2003, he became the starting center, not a scoreboard flex, a scheme guy. Screens, box outs, positioning. Coaches live for someone who does the dirty work without the diva energy. Oh, and a fun height tee. In 2001, his combined measurement was 6'10". In the 2002 finals, he flat out said, "I'm not 7 feet tall." In a league that loves to round up everything, the honesty was kind of iconic. Just saying. Important people in his orbit. Jaron, obviously, twin brother and fellow NBA center. Jason Kidd, former teammate, who in 2014 was the Nets head coach, and basically the guy who said, "This fit works, sign him." The Barack Obama, then U.S. South President, and Bill Clinton, former president, both publicly supported Jason's coming out, and David Stern, the NBA commissioner at the time, whose office backed inclusion. That kind of top-down energy matters. It signals to teams and sponsors that the water's warm, so jump in. On-court receipts. In 2011, with Atlanta, he helped frustrate Dwight Howard, a superstar center then with Orlando. Stan Van Gundy, the Magic coach at the time, basically said Jason played the best defense on Dwight all season. Translation, you may not drop 30, but you can still swing a series by making a star miserable, high-key valuable.
Let's talk the actual coming out. In 2013, he wrote a first-person piece in Sports Illustrated, co-authored with Franz Lids, a journalist, and the site traffic went wild. It wasn't a whisper campaign, it was a clear statement from an active pro saying, "This is me."
He chose jersey number 98 when he came back. That was in honor of Matthew Shepard, a gay college student murdered in 1998, whose story helped shape modern hate crime laws. That number turned every photo and stat line into a little powerful memorial. His return with Brooklyn in 2014 had an immediate impact on culture and commerce. The No 98 Nets jersey shot to the top of NBA online sales. Proceeds from game-worn 98s and autographed jerseys were directed to the Matthew Shepard Foundation and GLSN, an education nonprofit focused on LGBTQ inclusion in schools. The league didn't just clap, they cut checks. That is how you turn symbolism into support. Now, the spicy debate, was he technically an active player when he came out in 2013? He was a free agent, so some people were like, he's not on a roster. Here's my take. Active isn't a jersey you happen to be wearing at that second, it's a career status. He hadn't retired, he was training. He said he wanted to play, and then he did. The Brooklyn stint validated the label. The New York Times even called it maybe the most celebrated 10-day contract ever. The symbolism was massive, but also, he could still hoop. Both things can be true.
Pop culture ripple check. Time magazine's 100 most influential in 2014 put him on the cover. That's legacy, not a stat. And that jersey wave? Fans weren't just buying a name, they were buying a message. Low-key, it taught leagues that inclusion isn't just morally right, it's marketable. Not me counting capitalism as an ally today, but me.
Personal life, because people are people, not headlines. He was once engaged to Carolyn Moose, a former WNBA center, and he later wrote about how hard it was navigating that while closeted. Years later, he began dating Brunson Green, a film producer. They married in 2025. Through it all, he identified as Christian and preached tolerance. When critics tried to pit faith versus identity, he was like, we can disagree and still affirm dignity. That adult energy, we stan. And here's a sweet bit of trivia. Actor Jason Segel, yes, the How I Met Your Mother guy, was Jason's backup center in high school. Peak LA crossover. Hollywood meets Hardwood. Iconic origin story energy. I have to acknowledge the hard part. In 2026, Jason Collins died of glioblastoma, an aggressive brain cancer. The tributes poured in, not just because he played 13 seasons, but because he changed who gets to feel seen in a locker room, on a court, in a crowd. If you ever sat up in the cheap seats and felt a little less alone because of somebody's courage, you know what that's worth. Okay, pause, because this next part is everything. The takeaway. Collins proved that value in sports isn't only measured in points or rebounds. It's also screen set so teammates can cook. It's quiet leadership. It's showing up as yourself so others can breathe easier. That's a legacy that outlives a box score. How is this legacy? Next time, I'm excited to chat about the intersection of fashion and sports, tunnel fits, brand deals, and who's actually redefining style on and off the court. Spoiler, the pre-game walk is the new runway.
So, that's the tea, folks. Remember, authenticity is your greatest flex. Later.